Hare Krishna. Danvat Pranam, dear devotees. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you, Meenu Mataji, Anandri Gopika Mataji, and Sangeeta Mataji ki jai ho today for leading the chanting and taking us back home, back to Godhead with that wonderful kirtan at the end. Hare Krishna. Okay, so today let's continue with our Mangalacharan and then prayers, and then we'll sing a new prayer today. Okay. ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Okay, so on the auspicious occasion and Tithi of Sri Nityananda Trayodasi this week, that we'll be celebrating later this week. This week we can sing Sri Nityananda Ashtakam by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur Maharaj. I posted the link in the chat. Yes, okay. So this is sung in the same way as how we sing Jagannath Ashtakam, same meter. सरच्चन्द्रभ्रान्तिं स्फुरदमलकान्तिं गजगतिं हरिप्रेमोन्मत्तं धृतपरमसत्त्वं स्मितमुखं सदा घूर्णनेत्रं करकलितवेत्रं कलिभिदं भजे नित्यानन्दं भजनतरुकन्दं निरवधि रसानामागारं स्वजनगणसर्वस्वमतुलम् तदीयैकप्राण प्रमितवसुधाजानवपतिं सदा प्रेमोन्मादं परमविदितं मन्दमनसां भजे नित्यानन्दं भजनतरुकन्दं निरवधि शचीसूनुप्रेष्ठं निखिलजगदिष्टं सुखमयं कलौ मज्जज्जीवो धरणकरणो दामकरुणं हरेराख्यानाद्वा भवजलधिगर्वोन्नतिहरं भजे नित्यानन्दं भजनतरुकन्दं निरवधि अये भ्रातर्नीणां कलिकलिणां किं नु भविता तथा प्रायश्चित्तं रचय यदनायासत इमे व्रजन्ति त्वामित्थं सह भगवता मन्त्रयति यो भजे नित्यानन्दं भजनतरुकन्दं निरवधि यथेष्टं रे भ्रातः कुरु हरिहरिध्वानमनिशाम् ततो वः संसाराम्बुधितरणदायो मयि लगेत् इदं बाहुस्फोटेरटतिरटयन् यः प्रतिगृहं भजे नित्यानन्दं भजनतरुकन्दं निरवधि बलात् संसाराम्भो निधिहरन कुम्भोद्भवम् अहो सतां श्रेयः सिन्धुनतिकुमुदबन्धुं समुदितं खलश्रेणी स्फुर्जित् तिमिरहरसूर्यप्रभम् अहं भजे नित्यानन्दं भजनतरुकन्दं निरवधि नटन्तं गायन्तं हरिमनुवदन्तं पथि पथि व्रजन्तं पश्यन्तं स्वमपि न दयन्तं जनगणं प्रकुर्वन्तं सन्तं सकरुणदृगन्तं प्रकलनात् भजे नित्यानन्दं भजनतरुकन्दं निरवधि सुबिभ्राणं भ्रातु करसरसिजं कोमलतरं मिथो वक्त्रालोको झलितपरमानन्दहृदयं भ्रमन्तं माधुर्यैरहमदयन्तं पुरजनान् भजे नित्यानन्दं भजनतरुकन्दं निरवधि रसानामाधारं रसिकवरसद्वैष्णवधनं रसागारं सारं पतितततिहारं स्मरन्तः परं नित्यानन्दाष्टकमिदमपूर्वं पठति यः तदङ्घ्रिद्वन्द्वाब्जं स्फुरतु नितरां तस्य हृदये हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री नित्यानंद अष्टकम की जय। शिला वृंदावन दास ठाकुर महाराज की जय। श्रीला प्रभुपाद की जय। Anybody would like to read the translation?
I can say Prabhu Hare Krishna.
Yeah, please, Mataji, go ahead.
I perpetually worship Sri Nityanand Prabhu, the root of Krishna Bhakti tree, whose bright face mocks the full autumn moon, whose pure complexion glistens, whose gait is like that of a maddened elephant, who is always intoxicated in Krishna Prema, who embodies pure spiritual energy, whose face holds a gentle smile, whose eyes are always rolling due to his absorption in Krishna Prema, whose lotus hand holds a glowing staff, and who, by the performance of Nam Sankirtan, pierces the influence of Kali Yuga. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who is the mainstay of all the rasas, who is everything to his devotees, who is beyond compare, who is the master of both Vasudha and Janava Devi, who consider him more dear than their own lives, who is all
Mataji got muted, looks like.
sorry, Prabhu, who is always maddened in Krishna Prema and who is unknown only to those of meager intelligence. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of Krishna Bhakti tree, who is very dear to Sri Sachinandan, who is worshipped by the entire universe, who is the embodiment of happiness, who possesses infinite mercy for delivering the souls who are drowning in the age of Kali, and who, by the performance of Sri Harinam Sankirtan, thwarts the progressing false pride of the ocean of repetitive birth and death. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of Krishna Bhakti tree, who said to Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Hey brother Gauranga, what will be the destination of the sinful souls of Kali Yuga, and how will they be redeemed? Please devise a method by which they will be easily be able to attain you. I perpetually worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the Krishna Bhakti tree, who wandered around Bengal and approaching the door of each and every home, threw open his arms and exclaimed, O brothers, all of you should eternally perform Sri Harinam Sankirtan together. By doing so, I will take the responsibility to deliver you all from the ocean of material existence. I eternally worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of Krishna Bhakti tree, who is the Agastya Muni, who forcibly swallows the ocean of repeated birth and death, who is rising full moon, which increases the ocean of the saintly person's welfare, and who is a sun which dissipates the darkness of ignorance cast by the various classes of miscreants. I eternally worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of the tree of Krishna Bhakti, who wandered on every path in Bengal, dancing, singing, and calling out, Hari Bol, and who lovingly bestowed merciful sidelong glances upon those who were not compassionate to even their own selves. I eternally worship Sri Nityananda Prabhu, the root of Krishna Bhakti tree, who held the supremely soft lotus hand of his brother Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, whose heart became filled with the highest bliss when the two brothers gazed into each other's faces, and who wandered here and there, delighting the townspeople with his sweetness. May Sri Nityananda Prabhu place his lotus feet in the heart of one who lovingly recites the unprecedented Nityananda Ashtakam, which is the reservoir of rasa, the greatest treasure of the most exalted of the Rasika Vaishnavas, and the storehouse of the essence of Bhakti Rasa. The Ashtaka is sung in the melody known as Shikharini. Hare Krishna.
Krishna, thank you so much, Anandri Gopika Mataji. Any verse that you liked particular or anything that you like to share about this prayer?
Prabhu, when the second last verse said, may Lord Nityananda Prabhu place his lotus feet in our hearts, I remembered the pastime of how Nityananda Prabhu gave mercy to Raghunath Das Goswami by placing his lotus feet on his head. And from there, Raghunath Das Goswami got constant association of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Nityananda is so merciful, and Lord Nityananda is our Adi Guru, and we need to really, I think all of us dwell in this beautiful Nityananda Ashtakam that you have picked to recite for this whole week, to come in the mood of Nityananda Trayodashi and to pray sincerely to Lord Nityananda to put his lotus feet on our hearts. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hey, Haribol, thank you so much. Of course, you have Adi Guru Das at home, so you're always serving Adi Guru by serving his Das. Okay, so nice. Thank you. Yes, this is a very nice prayer, and of course, this week we're going to celebrate, like I said, Nityananda Ashtakam, and again, it's very nice connecting back to Srila Prabhupada Leela with all our Guru Parampara. They are basically the coming in the lineage of Sri Nityananda as the representatives of Sri Nityananda, Balaram. They are the ones who are giving us the bal, right? As we sing Ekaki Amara Nahi Paya Bala Harinama Sankirtane. So as Nityananda Prabhu is saying, oh devotees, come together and chant this. So when you come together, even this morning japa, like I was just remembering as you all were chanting this morning, like we say japa is like we are serving the divine couple in the Nikunja, and Sankirtan is when we all come together and we like chant and sing and dance together. But yeah, just the association of the devotees, just like these disciples of Srila Prabhupada, they would see Prabhupada waking up and translating, from the outside. It is like that, everybody's chanting, and when each one of us chants in the morning, the one who leads the chanting, it feels like, we are passing through your Nikunja as you are serving the divine couple personally. So thank you all for leading the chanting this morning. And yes, we pray to Sri Nityananda Prabhu, we pray to Srila Prabhupada as the representative of Adi Guru Sri Nityananda Prabhu, that they may give us the bal with which we can continue this Sankirtan movement. And yes, yesterday also was the appearance day of Sri Advaita Acharya, who is also another very exalted, Acharya, Guru in the Parampara, who enabled with his mercy is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came because of his prayers, and he's none other than Sadashiv and Mahavishnu himself. As Shivji went to Mahavishnu to pray that please appear to eradicate the burden of the Mother Earth, and that time they both embraced, and then together, Mahavishnu says, "What will I do going alone? I need you together." So both of them came together as Sri Advaita Acharya, and through Advaita Acharya's prayers, by his mercy, we have the descent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's a very auspicious day yesterday. Today is also Sri Bhishmashtami, another very exalted Acharya Vaishnava, who teaches by his example of how to lead life of morality and how to lead life of dharma, following in the instructions of Sri Krishna. And so very, very auspicious day today. And yesterday, like I said, Prabhupada is teaching again as the Acharya, as the Guru of, he was also mentioning the same point yesterday, that who is a true spiritual master? A true spiritual master is the best servant of Krishna, right? Not these bogus gurus who claim themselves to be Bhagwan, or who do some cheap jugglery and magic and then say they claim to be God. That is not true Guru. True Guru is one who is the best servant of Krishna. So like we ended yesterday, Das Dasanudas. So we have to become the Das of the Das of the Das, who is the best servant of the Lord. Okay, so let's continue. So Prabhupada is talking about his book, and or his disciple was remembering how Prabhupada's books are, not just because they're Prabhupada's books, but they're his whole life. So we are making this humble attempt to continue reading Prabhupada's books. Okay, since Hridayananda Goswami was Prabhupada's direct representative for Latin America, Prabhupada called to see him frequently while in Mexico. He wanted his GBC men to understand fully the importance of the Krishna consciousness movement and to know practically how to conduct it and propagate it. He wanted them eventually to do all the managing of the institution's affairs, freeing him to translate the Bhagavatam. He had written about this responsibility in a letter to Hridayananda Goswami in 1972, shortly after awarding him sannyas. Now you must all, sannyasis, GBC members, and other leaders, become very serious to actually give the humankind the greatest welfare, namely this Krishna consciousness movement. Your task ahead is very huge, but it will be quite simple and easy if you simply do as I am doing. You must become conversant in every feature, wherever it is needed throughout the society. Our first business is to preach to the devotees and to maintain the highest standard of Vaishnava education. Management must be there as well. Just as I am preaching daily from Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, but I'm also going to the bank, making investments, seeing the trial balance, making letters, seeing how things are going on, like that. So you must become expert in all these matters, just as I am giving you example. One evening, after lecturing in the temple room, Prabhupada was talking in his room with Hridayananda Goswami. Sitting on Prabhupada's desk was a world globe, and Hridayananda Maharaj was showing Prabhupada the extent of his Latin American preaching field. Srila Prabhupada sat, gently spinning the globe, finally stopping it with his finger on Mexico. What do you know about this country? He asked. Hridayananda Maharaj began telling him as much as he knew about the culture, government, and history of Mexico. Then Prabhupada gave the globe another spin, stopping it with his finger on Argentina, and Hridayananda Maharaj told what he knew about the people and life of Argentina. Now we will give you some information about India, said Prabhupada, smiling, and he named India's exports and provinces from which they came. He spoke of the relationship between ancient India and South America, of Lord Ramchandra, who millions of years ago had gone to Brazil. From Sri Lanka to Brazil had been a tunnel, and all the gold of Ravana's kingdom had come through that tunnel from Brazil. Hridayananda Maharaj was thrilled that Srila Prabhupada was including him in such an intimate, friendly talk, and they continued exchanging information while pointing to the places on the globe. One day, Hridayananda Maharaj came into Prabhupada's room looking unhappy. What is the difficulty? Prabhupada asked him. Hridayananda Maharaj took pride in never complaining to Prabhupada or bringing him bad news and disturbing him. But having almost reached his breaking point, he confessed, Srila Prabhupada, it is impossible here. They are always stealing. Prabhupada consoled him. Yes, in one of our Indian centers also they have stolen a rug. What can I do? Prabhupada said, as if sharing his disciples' helplessness. But then he said, actually, my father had a friend who owned a factory. He would pay the factory workers a small wage. Once someone complained, why do you underpay your workers? Then he said, no, I pay them so much, and they steal so much. It comes out to the proper amount. Prabhupada began to laugh. My father told me that if you have a servant and he does not steal from you, then he is not bona fide. He is not a bona fide servant. Hridayananda Maharaj laughed along with Prabhupada and his unhappiness vanished. Once Prabhupada sent a message for Hridayananda Maharaj to come immediately. When Hridayananda ran into Prabhupada's room and offered obeisances, he found Prabhupada sitting in a leisurely position, reading the Krishna book. Prabhupada looked up with great happiness and asked, have you read these books? Prabhupada was enjoying his own book, not because he had written the book, but because the book was Krishna. Have you read these books? Prabhupada repeated. Yes, Prabhupada, a little. Aren't they wonderful? Asked Prabhupada. Especially Chaitanya Charitamrita. They are so wonderful. Having said this, Prabhupada returned his attention to the Krishna book, reading silently to himself. After sitting for a few minutes, Hridayananda Maharaj gratefully left the room, desiring to follow Prabhupada's example. One evening, when several professors came to visit Srila Prabhupada, one of them asked, why does anything exist? Srila Prabhupada replied that the purpose of existence is ananda, pleasure. At first, the professor resisted. He was seeking an answer referring to a higher plane. But Srila Prabhupada insisted that Ananda exists on the higher plane. When we have got this body changing, he said, there is no Ananda because we are sometimes diseased and then we have to become an old man. But we are eternal. So we are seeking after something which is eternal, Ananda. That is the purpose of life. In the Bhagavad Gita lectures, Srila Prabhupada was methodically proceeding through the second chapter, now discussing the distinction between the eternal soul and the temporary body. Sometimes he lectured both morning and evening. When beginning his explanation of the 14th verse, he said, so, from last night's discussion, it is to be concluded that we are not going to die. But in preparation for next life, Prabhupada explained, we have to tolerate material pains and pleasures. Sometimes the rules and regulations are there. They may be painful, but we cannot give them up. We have to learn how to tolerate. Prabhupada quoted a Bengali proverb that said, anything you practice with your body, you can learn to tolerate. So, if by practicing Krishna consciousness, you can go back home, back to Godhead, why should you neglect? That will solve all your problems. After the lecture, someone asked, what are the characteristics of a person who has realized that he is not this body? He is engaged in Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada replied. He doesn't know anything but Krishna. That is normal condition. One evening, after an unusual number of impertinent questions, Hridayananda Maharaj stopped translating and instructing the crowd not to ask nonsensical questions. Immediately, one of the ladies raised her hand. I've heard from the devotees, she began, that at the time of leaving my body, it will be a very important test for my life, for getting my next body. I've also heard from the devotees that it is important for us to think of Lord Krishna at the time of passing away of our body. What I want to ask your divine grace is it as good as thinking of Krishna at the time of my death to think of you? Hridayananda Maharaj presented a question to Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada smiled. Yes, that is very good. You will get the same result. In the morning, for his breakfast, Prabhupada ate lightly of fruit and cashews. He especially liked a local fruit known as guavana, and he drank guavana juice every day. At noon, he also ate lightly, avoiding the samosas and pakoras and eating mostly dal, rice, chapatis, and the sabji. The Mexican devotees would wait eagerly outside Prabhupada's door to take the remnants from his plate. They were particularly eager for a bite of anything Prabhupada had tasted. Shruti Mohan. One morning, Shrutakirti gave me the plate remnants of Prabhupada. It contained milk, oranges already sucked, and skins of chickpeas. There was also ginger. At that time, there was a Srimad Bhagavatam class going on, but when the devotees saw me with the plate, some of them left the class and ran toward me. They started to take pieces of orange and ginger. One devotee got pushed and fell down. That disturbed the class, and the devotee giving the class was very upset. Some of the devotees kept sitting, but some of them, when they saw the remnants, left the place and ran upstairs and started to fight also. Then Srila Prabhupada opened his door because of the noise, and he saw everything. He smiled and went to his room again. Most of the Mexican devotees got little direct association with Srila Prabhupada because they could not understand English and because they had other services to render. They were never demanding, since they knew Srila Prabhupada was busy translating and working to save all the fallen souls around the world. Moreover, Prabhupada was a very great personality, and his disciples did not think themselves worthy to push forward and demand his special attention. Nevertheless, sometimes the devotees who took turns keeping guard outside Prabhupada's room would have a special encounter with him. Nanda Prana. One of the devotees was a bodyguard when he was a karmi, taking care of the important people in the government, so he was already involved in these things. Mostly in the night time, there were some of us who were just taking watch 3 or 4 hours outside of his room, taking care of him. We were thinking that maybe some dangerous man or some crazy man is coming, and they would want to make something with Srila Prabhupada. We wanted to put Srila Prabhupada very secure. Every night I was doing the schedule from 9 at night until 2. At that time, I was supposed to go and wake up the next guard. Ritu. I was taking care of Srila Prabhupada's sleep security. I used to chant rounds during the night. So it was midnight and I was chanting. And this devotee, Jagannath Mishra, told me that I should not chant so loud because it would bother Srila Prabhupada. I said, no, Prabhupada doesn't mind if we chant aloud. I kept on chanting loudly, and then I saw Prabhupada open the curtains in his room. He was standing there very humbly, not angry, but smiling. He made a motion to me, meaning, please do not chant so loudly. Then he folded his palms and was smiling. Shruti Mohan, I was like a helper. If the servants needed something, we were right there to get it. We would rest, taking care of the door day and night. Once they had a problem with Prabhupada's tape recorder. At that time, Prabhupada had to stop translating. So Hridayananda Maharaj called me and told me that he heard that I knew how to fix tape recorders and electricity. I went into Prabhupada's room, and Prabhupada was reading the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He was moving his toes. There was a tulsi there on his desk. By using his hands, Prabhupada was showing me that the tape recorder didn't work. He wanted to be busy with his service. When I looked at it, the only thing wrong was that the plug wasn't very well plugged in. I fixed it and put the tape on, and Prabhupada's voice started to come out. Then he said, everything is all right. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Then he asked me some questions through Dhiranda Maharaj is translating. He asked, are there cows here in Mexico? Do you kill them and eat them? Also, he asked, what is a coin in Mexico? When he asked about the cows, I answered that. And when he asked about the coin, I said it is a peso. When Prabhupada heard about the cows, he shook his head. Then he was explaining that everywhere they have cows and they kill them off and eat them. And that's why civilization is as it is now, in crisis. Now society is paying reactions and they are going to pay more reactions because of that. Then he told me, now you can leave. I had to leave because my service was to take care of the door and Prabhupada had other services. Muni Priya, I was a guard at the door. After 2 in the morning, Prabhupada came out in a gamcha. I said, Jai Prabhupada, Hari Bol. I wanted to get down and offer him my obeisances. Prabhupada said, No, no, just chant Hare Krishna, chant Hare Krishna. Tonio Fernandez. I was in charge of the microphone. One time I was adjusting it right in front of Prabhupada and he saw me and smiled. I felt very happy. I had no time to dance with the other devotees because I was in charge of the sound system. One day I put aside the sound and started dancing. Prabhupada saw me and I felt that he was thinking, You must go back to your sound. And so I went back because that was my service. Vedananda Maharaj. We were very anxious to serve Srila Prabhupada nicely because he very rarely ever came to Latin America. Therefore, whatever he wanted, whenever he said, Why don't you bring this? We would have 3 or 4 devotees standing by like firemen, and they would practically slide down the banister and jump into 2 or 3 different cars and tear out of the driveway on 2 wheels with tires screeching. They would have a race to see who could bring it back first. Usually within 10 or 15 minutes, they would have it, whatever Prabhupada wanted. One time I brought Prabhupada his breakfast plate, and he said, Aren't there any cashew nuts? I immediately ran out to the banister and shouted, Cashew nuts! Immediately they started jumping down the stairs and cars were screeching out of the driveway. While Prabhupada was still eating his breakfast, we brought in the nuts. Then he said, No, never mind. I don't need them. The last Bhagavad Gita class Prabhupada gave in Mexico was on the 17th verse of the second chapter. If you simply become interested in this small span of life, Prabhupada said, say 50 or 60 or 100 years at most, but you neglect your eternal existence, is that intelligence? We are teaching that science, and the Bhagavad Gita is there. Take advantage of it. Okay, so we'll see what happens next tomorrow. Let's pause here. Yes, again the same theme coming from the true servant of the Lord, spiritual master, who's the best servant of the Lord. Always the message is eternal, Shashwat, right? Like this world is what the Khalayam Ashashwatam we say, right? And our duty, because we have forgotten our eternal identity, we are trying to enjoy, right? So we have from a servitor propensity, we have got the enjoy propensity, and that is where all the problem is, right? So we hear people, you ask them, what do you want? Everybody will say, oh, I want money, I want this, I want that, I want somebody who has money, will say, I want name, fame, prestige, or, whatever. But ultimately, money also is not the dilemma. Why money? Because money can buy things that give us comfort, that give us pleasure, so-called pleasure that we think, right? And it's so that's again everything that is here is just fleeting pleasure. Like we're giving example, even if you like to eat something nice, these 5 senses that we have, these are basically the kind of the machines through which we enjoy, right? So either you see something good or you hear something good, Bollywood music or some movies, or you want to eat something tasty, you want to touch something nice, like that. So or you want to smell something nice. So, but all of these things, if we observe, all of these things will only give us temporary happiness. But permanent happiness is when we go from the enjoying propensity to servitor propensity. And that is what again Nityananda Prabhupada is giving example of Ananda. Ananda is the eternal pleasure. And that pleasure we have in the name of Nityananda, Nityananda, right? So Ananda. So when we serve Sri Guru, who was the representative of Nityananda, then we get the eternal pleasure, Ananda, which is never curtailed or never stopped or never ending. It's always Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam, right? We say, then keeps on increasing, not like the waves of this world, but the waves of the spiritual world, those waves of pleasure, of Ananda, always keep increasing. So that is the root cause of forgetting our identity. And because we're trying to enjoy separately from the Lord, but that is not our constitutional position. Our constitutional position is we are like the fragmental parts and parcel of the Lord. Mamaivaamsha jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana, manasasthani indriyani, prakritasthani karshati. So just because we're struggling in this material world, we are eternal parts and parcels, and we are always blissful because by constitution we are part and parcel of the Lord as Jiva Bhuta and Sanatan, but because we are having that enjoying propensity, we are suffering in this world. I mean, we see even in this world, like I still remember growing up or coming, sometimes I would travel by, mostly I would travel by public transport in India when I was going to my college days or, even for my work, sometimes I would travel by public transport because it was so far from home. And sometimes just going in those buses in Chennai, it'll be crowded. And I remember many times, I would just, if I had a seat, like, because I would go from the very beginning of the bus stop, so I will get a seat. But then, since my route would be almost like an hour long, many times, the bus will get very crowded later as it goes to the next stop or the fourth, fifth stops. And just I remember those instances where just getting up and giving my seat to some elderly person or some ladies, just giving that, naturally it just felt so nice, without them asking, just giving them that seat. I still remember many of those instances, and that to me, I just felt like that gave me more joy than anything else, right? So like that, we all have done something selflessly, and when we do something selflessly, we get the most joy. And that is what spiritual life is teaching us, that we are, instead of being selfish, we have to become selfless and serve the Lord. So that is our eternal identity. That's what Prabhupada is teaching. And again, we see how these disciples so nicely, Hadananda Maharaj is saying, just as Prabhupada asks something, and before he asks, there three, four of them are already running out and trying to get what Prabhupada wants, and um, you know, eating the remnants of Prabhupada's plate. Just looking at him, not even, sometimes they don't even understand Prabhupada's English, but just being in his association, not disturbing him, giving him the time to complete his translations, his services. All of these are such small, simple things, right? But we can see, how much delight and how much bliss they are experiencing just by being near Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is telling to his GBC, and then just do as I'm doing, right? Observe what I'm doing. And there also is giving very important instruction. Again, like many times we see even in our movement, people are very excited to do services, yes, but Prabhupada is saying the first thing, like, he's reading the Krishna books, he's reading his own books, even though it may feel like his own books, but he's saying, he's giving, showing by example that these are not his books, these are Krishna himself, right? So you're associating with Krishna. So doing our sadhana, chanting, japa, reading these books, those should be the primary thing. Those should be the foundation first. If we don't have the foundation, we just try to do service seva, then there are very high likelihood that we'll commit a lot of aparadhas because we have anarthas and the cleansing, the purification has not happened. So Prabhupada is also teaching his GBC men again and again the same point, that you learn and do as I am doing, right? So Prabhupada was very pakka in his spiritual practices. And then with that purification comes empowerment. And then you are able to do. Same thing we do, like we say in Kirtans also. I've heard many Maharajas speak about that the Kirtaniyas also, they should purify, not just for the sake of, showing off that I am a best Kirtaniya, I can sing in the best melodies. Sometimes there are practicing sadhakas like that, but they are not very not very pakka, not very particular in their sadhana. And even Ayendra Prabhu used to say that, kirtan, for anybody performing kirtan without doing japa, it's just, that is not kirtan, right? So, that is just sense gratification. So like that. So Prabhupada is teaching the same thing, that our sadhana should be very, 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 very strong, and then everything else will follow. So it's just like the two wings of a bird, right? So if you have just seva, 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 then without sadhana, then you'll not be able to fly. Sadhana actually is very, very important. And then sadhana, along with, you should couple it with seva, because in sadhana, we are requesting the Lord to give us seva. And sadhana actually is also sadhana and sadhya. It is both the means and the end. so, so yeah, that is how we should understand Prabhupada's mood. And um, any disciple who understands the mood of his spiritual master and then performs, his services following that mood and instructions, then that is perfection. Okay, so that should be our mood this week as we celebrate Shri Nityananda Trayodashi. Hari Bol. Okay, anybody else would like to share anything that you liked, loved, anything that you learned from today?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Your reflections. I wanted to, this is not from today for today, but I wanted to thank Meenakshi Moini for giving such a wonderful lecture on a snow day where we were, not able to come to the center, but she enlightened everyone. And I just heard it while shoveling snow yesterday, and that felt like a breeze listening to her. It felt so easy to shovel the snow. So thank you so much.
Good. Thank you, dear. Those you always encourage me.
No, it was very, thank you.
All because of, all the blessings of devotees. Thank you so much. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Please continue giving such talks. They were such very nice.
Yes, with your inspiration. Yeah.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Anybody else would like to say anything? Okay, if not, then we'll pause here for today. Thank you so much. Hope everybody has a wonderful Shri and we look forward to celebrating Nityananda Trayodasi. I think there was one update that I got from Jerry Prabhu yesterday that I think His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu's flights, because of the weather conditions, they're cancelled or delayed. So I think he'll not be coming on Wednesday. He'll be coming on Friday. So we'll send out the communication. So, but we'll not have program on Wednesday and Thursday. We'll have program on Friday and Saturday as planned, which is still great because that is the day of Nityananda Trayodashi. So we'll celebrate Nityananda Trayodashi in his association. Okay, thank you so much. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyaiva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrind ki jai. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Jai Shri Radhe Shyam Nitai
Thank you,
Gaur Hari Hari Bol.
Great day, everyone. Stay safe. Hare Krishna.
So Prabhuji, he will stay for 4 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or only 2 days?
Yeah, I think that's the plan. Yes.
Okay.
I will confirm, but I don't know. The flights may have changed, so I'll check. But I think Friday, Saturday for sure he'll be here, and then I think Sunday they may be going back.
Okay.
Okay.
Hare Krishna.
All right. Hare Krishna. Thank you all.